The summer transfer window is drawing ever so closer, and top teams in Europe are already getting themselves prepared to do some real business. Well, for it to be a good summer, every club has a position that must be addressed, and it is those positions we're here to talk about. This is the number one transfer your club needs to make this summer. We'll start with Man United. They definitely need to sign a holding midfielder this summer. Casemiro has had one heck of a campaign, and the fans have tried to get him to change his mind and stay at Old Trafford for an extra year, but he has insisted on leaving. This means that United will have to go out and find a replacement for him once the window flings open. We have already seen that Manuel Ugarte is not that guy, so the club simply cannot depend on him, especially not now that they're finally making a return to the Champions League. United must be smart about the next holding midfielder they get. They need one who can partner up with Kobbie Mainoo well and can give them what Casemiro does. So far, they have been linked with Elliot Anderson, Sandro Tonali, Carlos Baleba, and even Granit Xhaka. Any of these guys will do a great job for sure, but we think that Tonali might actually be the best guy for them, all things considered. Another club who needs to replace an outgoing legend this summer is Barcelona. Robert Lewandowski seems like he is on his way out this summer, but even if he doesn't go, we think Barcelona must sign a top striker. Some would argue that a centre-back is more important, but looking at the way Hansi Flick plays, whether they sign Bastoni or Vuskovic, they will still be exposed at the back, simply because of the style. And signing a left winger just cannot be the number one priority provided Rafinha is still at the club. What they actually need is a striker who can put away the many chances the team creates per game. The club has been linked with the likes of Julian Alvarez and Victor Osimhen, but we think the best striker for Barcelona might actually be João Pedro. He has the best qualities of Alvarez and Osimhen put together. He can press, is a dominant box presence, is good in the air, clinical, versatile, and is great at link-up play. He is actually the perfect Barcelona striker. And seeing as Chelsea will be missing out on Champions League football next season, it presents a real opportunity for the Blaugranas. But all these guys will be expensive, and if Barcelona don't have the money, then they should be looking at getting Dusan Vlahovic for free or Vedat Muriqi for cheap. As for Real Madrid, it's pretty tough. In April, we would easily have told you that what they need is a right winger. They have one of the best left wingers in the world and one of the greatest goal scorers of his generation at centre forward. What they lack is a right winger on that same level. The likes of Michael Olise and Mo Salah would have been top targets for them, but with recent developments, those priorities might have to change. Real Madrid now look like they might have to get rid of a number of players which would require immediate replacement. After Tchouaméni knocked Valverde out cold in training, the club might force him out this summer. And if they do, their priority would have to be a defensive midfielder. Then you can start talking about Rodri, Caicedo and Tonali. There's also a petition with millions of signatures trying to get Mbappe out of the club. If the club really does sell him, then obviously the priority immediately becomes centre forward. Then names like Osimhen will start to arise. And don't forget, Alaba is already on his way out of the club. If Rudiger is also forced out, they would have to go out and get a centre-back, especially seeing as Militao can't seem to stay fit for 2 straight months anymore. Essentially, the number one signing Real Madrid will have to make this summer is down to how their current crisis is resolved. Let's now talk about Manchester City. Of course, they need an all-action midfielder to come in and replace the outgoing Bernardo Silva, hence the links to Elliot Anderson. But with Rodri, Nico Gonzalez, Nico O'Reilly, Kovacic, Reinders, Foden, and even the young Sverre Nipan, we believe they can still survive without a midfield signing. However, a backup right-back seems a lot more important. Right now, Man City have at least 2 capable players for every position all around the pitch, except right-back. If anything happens to Matheus Nunes, they might really be doomed. This season we saw how injuries to Gvardiol and Diaz had them playing Max Aleni in a Champions League game, and of course that cost them dearly. In order to prevent such from happening next season, they need to go out and sign a right-back ASAP. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy. They have been linked with Bayern and Liverpool target Givaro Rad, and if they can actually get him, that could solve their problem. Speaking of Liverpool, we don't even have to say it, do we? Their number one priority certainly has to be a right winger. In the seasons before this one, Liverpool's right-wing policy had always been Mo Salah and nobody else. But with the Egyptian king certain to leave the club at the end of the season, they must now find a replacement. This season, the Reds have had to play Frimpong and Szoboszlai there, and that tells the whole story. they simply cannot not sign a right winger this summer. Michael Olise's name has come up, but we have to say that Olise leaving Bayern Munich to move to Liverpool this summer seems rather unrealistic. Iliman Ndiaye also seems a little unrealistic because of his ties to Everton, but anything can happen these days, you know. But we think Liverpool's top two options right now are Jarrod Bowen and Francisco Trincao. These are players that like to cut in and shoot, but are also really great at creating chances. Salah's shoes are really huge, but these are some players we believe can try their best to fill them. Now, let's talk about Bayern Munich. Their number one priority this summer has to be getting a new right back. They have a really solid team all round, but the right back position feels like a weak link. They go into big Champions League games with Josip Stanisic in defence, and he has been exposed by some top wingers. Like we said some moments ago, they have been linked to Guivaro Red, so maybe they could sign him to cover that position, but we think they should actually be looking to sign an already established right back, and then Stanisic can act as a backup. In this case, trying to poach Jules Koundé from Barcelona or Jurrien Timber from Arsenal might not be the worst idea in the world. Okay, since we have mentioned Arsenal, let's now talk about them. It's quite obvious, isn't it? What they need is a left winger. They have two good strikers, two good right wingers, two good attacking midfielders, but their left wing options are just not good enough, and this has often forced Arteta to play Eze there. Arsenal have a very scary team as it is, one that has gotten as far as the Champions League final for the first time in 20 years, but a top left winger will take them to a completely different level. They could go big with Bradley Barcola, Rafael Leao or Yan Diomande, but if they are looking for cost-effective options, then maybe Mika Götze of Ajax could be the guy for them, or they could make a very shocking move for Marcus Rashford. On the other side of North London, it's really hard to say right now. Tottenham's priority in the summer will hugely depend on what happens between now and the end of the season. If they get relegated, then their priority would be trying to stay afloat, not looking for top signings. If they do stay up though, then their number one priority should be goalkeeper. Spurs have top players all over the pitch, but the goalkeeping position just still feels very shaky. I mean, it was the goalkeeping situation that infamously cost them in the Champions League round of 16 game against Atleti. If they can get a top goalkeeper, that could really make them a formidable team. They could consider trying to convince James Trafford to come over. The Englishman might want more playing time, and if Spurs can promise him that, it could turn his head. Kwemin Kelleher and Bart Verbruggen are good options too. They know the league, are great shot stoppers, and will suit Tottenham's style of play just well. Now what about Chelsea? Their priority has to be getting a top coach through the door first. The truth is that Chelsea have a lot of players across different positions. Without spending a penny extra, we believe they can put together a really good team. What they need right now is for the owners to make a smart decision with hiring the next coach, because the entire project depends on that. Now that they won't be going to the Champions League, they need to hire a coach that will make a proper title charge next season. The ideal situation would be to make peace with Enzo Maresca and bring him back, but we'll admit that that seems unlikely as bridges appear to have been burned already. In that case, guys like Xavi, Didier Deschamps and Xabi Alonso seem like top options. Chelsea must avoid going for young and inexperienced coaches, as that could set the project years back. Now, after they have signed a coach, they can now start thinking about making some changes to the squad if need be. As for AC Milan, they need to sign a striker, for sure. Santiago Gimenez and Füllkrug have not been good enough, and Nkunku is simply not a striker. Things have been so bad at centre forward that Leão has often had to play there this season, and even he looks like he's on his way out. The lack of goals really affected their aspirations this season. Milan are the lowest scorers among the top 6 in the Serie A this season, having scored 34 fewer goals than their city rivals Inter. They simply need to find a striker who can score goals this summer. We hear that they have been linked to Gabriel Jesus and Igor Thiago, and we can actually see either of those guys working at Milan. Finally, PSG has a super team as is, so it's a little strange to say that they need to do anything in the summer, but they actually do. They need a backup right back. Hakimi's recent injury showed us this. They went into a Champions League semi-final with Warren Zaïre-Emery at right back, and there were obviously some cracks. They have good backups at every other position except right back, and they just have to fix that. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. What's the number one transfer you think your club must make this summer? Talk to us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.